So it seems that we're getting a new installment of one of Warhammer 40k's most recognisable and iconic video games. After a fairly long hiatus after the less well-received Dawn of War 3, it seems that next year we're getting a new installment of the franchise, and Dawn of War 4 is finally coming out. Dawn of War is a real-time strategy game dating back to the early 2000s, and the idea is that you basically build a base, fight over command points and control of the map, and then raise armies and send them into battle against the other factions of Warhammer 40k, demolish their base and achieve some mission objectives, and hopefully achieve victory. Tonight has been the big announcement for this. The trailers and additional teaser articles have gone live. The trailer giving us some nice cinematic looks at the factions that are going to be duking it out, plus a little bit of early gameplay footage, plus there's been a bunch of articles shared, both on Games Workshop's Warhammer community, and a whole bunch of details on their early Steam wishlist thing. They give us a few clues as to what's going to be featured in the game. As you can probably tell by these glorious cinematics they've got, the base game is going to be launched with 4 initial factions. For the Imperium, there's the Space Marines and the Adeptus Mechanicus, and then they're going to be fighting the force of Xenos in this installment, with the Orcs and Necrons being playable. Most of those are classic returning factions of the franchise. The Space Marines couldn't be anything else but the Blood Ravens, of course, all ready to defend the Imperium and make off with your relics. The Orcs have been one of the biggest antagonists since the very first game. The initial loading screen cinematic of Blood Ravens fighting Orcs was notably good for that era. The Necrons are a pretty epic and interesting foe, and maybe the Admech might be the most surprising choice. Obviously a really cool faction as the followers of the Machine God, though interesting to see them here in place of other factions like Chaos or Eldar. Other than pretty pictures, fun graphics and kill animations, we do know at least a fair few details as to what's going to be in the contents of the game. As mentioned, they've confirmed it's going to be arriving next year, so 2026 sometime, and it looks like you can already wishlist it on Steam already. The developers of the game are Deep Silver and King Art Games, so it looks like the franchise has been made by new people. The previous ones were made by Relic and THQ for a couple of them. For gameplay, they've given us a fair few details. Apparently it's set on the world of Cronus, that was the world from Dawn of War Dark Crusades. In my opinion, one of the most interesting ones of the franchise, where you could basically take control of 7 different commanders and lead them around conquering the world and taking out other factions' bases. I believe that the canon outcome was a Space Marine victory, but I guess it does have a tomb world underneath, so I guess understandable that the Necrons are still there. In any case, to play on the world of Cronus, there's going to be 70 plus campaign missions. They stated it's the largest campaign they've ever done for it, a story written by John French, and then it's not just going to be one campaign. Apparently each faction is going to get its own dedicated campaign, all complete with some CGI intros and some animated cutscenes. What's also interesting is they stated that you can play the campaign missions either solo or with a friend, so it sounds like they've got a co-op campaign mode, which seems like a pretty cool idea to me. Definitely makes it more interesting and sociable if you're fighting side by side. Otherwise, for game modes, they said there was a Last Stand one. I believe that's basically just trying to hold out against progressively harder waves of enemies, a more basic custom skirmish style mode, and multiplayer when you can do anything between 1v1 to 3v3 apparently. Otherwise, just for basics of the game, it looks like some of the terrain might be destroyable. It very much does look like base building is still a thing, which it was in the original ones, but less so in the later installments. And they make a fair few special mentions of these sort of kill scene animations, where they describe them as sync kills. Basically, when units destroy each other in melee, they can do a special animation, like that Dreadnought tearing Orc boys apart in the trailer. As with previous ones as well, apparently it sounds like they've got the painter tool so you can put your own colours on the factions as well, a big part of Warhammer in general. As mentioned for the factions at launch, it sounds like they're Space Marines, Admech, Necrons and Orcs. No Chaos or Eldari this time around, though I do wonder if there's a reasonable chance there'll be updates or expansions that might add them in. I guess how far they go with this one might depend on its reception and popularity. It would be kind of cool if they did some progressive sequels to the original one, like Winter Assault, Dark Crusade and Soulstorm, which built up the faction roster quite a bit. With those factions themselves, there were a few previews as to some of the units that they could use. It's going to be interesting to see the take on the Blood Ravens in the Primaris era. All the previous titles were basically set before they became a thing, so it means that quite a lot of the units will have changed around. At least in a couple of the gameplay previews, it looks like there was a Repulsor Executioner blazing away with that Onslaught Gatling cannon here, and the Dreadnoughts are big stompy Redemptor Dreadnoughts. Besides that, I'm pretty sure I spotted some Blade Guard, some regular Intercessors and Jump Intercessors, and some Marines deploying by drop pods. Characters wise, it looks like Cyrus from the original series is back. He was featured in the cinematics and it seems like he got rather brutally taken down. Though given that he also looks like he appears as a playable character in other cutscenes, maybe he's just going to be brutally injured and brought back as a Primaris perhaps. I did quite enjoy the Thunderhawk gunship crashing into the Necron structure as well. I guess that's one way to put some holes in some Blackstone. Otherwise, for the Necrons, they've got units that just weren't originally things when the first series came out. There seem to be some Canoptech Doomstalkers marching around. Scorpec Destroyers are busy impaling people and slaughtering them in melee. There was a monolith on the sort of title card bit, and a Triarch Stalker I think being taken apart by some Space Marines. For the AdMech, I'm sure will be having their Skitarii troops. They've also got Cataphren Gun Servitors and some big chunky firing platforms. There's an Onager Dune Crawler on the cover, some Electro Priests charging into battle against some Orcs. There were some Scorpius Disintegrators hovering around. It looks like they've got a Knight Castellan, as you can see on the bottom left here. I guess that'll probably be their highest tier unit, bringing some enormous Machine God Blessed firepower to the battlefield. Then we've got the Orcs, obviously plenty of greenskins with a whole bunch of greenskin muscle and choppers. Otherwise I spotted battle wagons, death dreads, mega knobs and flash kits with some big guns. It also looks like there's a Beast Snagger Warboy on the right side of this image. In any case, looks like pretty fun stuff. It's certainly a really cool game and lots of people have fond memories of it, myself included. I just hope that they managed to stick the landing for it. It would be really quite cool if we got another major interest Warhammer 40k game actually wind up being good on reception, and hopefully they've managed to learn some lessons from Dawn of War 3. In any case though, let me know your thoughts on the reboot, any other details that I might have missed, and would you be tempted to pick it up yourself? I'll leave this one here for now though, a big thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.